Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of Xaereth Prevails, a Grand Arena story. We are currently in the 6th episode of the current Grand Arena Championships, which means that we're in the finals. I've won my previous 2 matches, and this is the last match until we get a new group, and so doing pretty well so far. I was undefeated last season and undefeated so far, but unfortunately, guys, this is kind of a different episode here. I'm just going to spoil it right now. And say that I lost. I actually melted down pretty hard, so we're going to explore that today. Hooray! As you can see here, my opponent is pretty strong in Arena. Their team has Relic 7 General Skywalker, which is obviously the strongest character right now, and that character is modded really well. It's pretty interesting, actually. They have a crit avoid arrow on it. Which means he's pretty slow, but it didn't really seem like it in my matches, to be honest. So, looking at the stats, my opponent doesn't seem to have that much of an advantage over me in most things. Like, our gear is pretty similar, Zeta's pretty similar, mods, relics, everything. I mean, I think maybe they have a little bit of an edge in relics, but overall, I mean, it's not a huge difference. And I've actually done a little bit better in Grand Arena. They've cleared most of the zones that they've tried to clear, which is good. But my lifetime score is almost 10k higher than what theirs is, which means that I've won a considerably larger number of matches. But moving into the match, I was really hoping that my opponent would just keep General Skywalker on offense, but they were wise and put General Skywalker on the smartest zone possible, which is the one blocking the back zone. So kudos to them on wise decision making, but it was pretty disappointing. And there's also a General Grievous squad with Watt, and there's a lot of relics there. So lots of things that I wasn't necessarily happy to see, but you know, I was pretty confident that I was going to be able to beat General Skywalker, actually. But instead, what you guys are going to see is some pretty bad gameplay on my part, some bad decision making, and so you'll want to look away, but
don't you dare close your eyes.
Now, I just wanted to jump right into my battles because there was no point in waiting. I needed to take out General Skywalker first before I could make anything else happen or plan any of my other counters. And General Skywalker is, obviously really strong. He does a lot of really great things. In Arena, I have 3 different people in my current Arena and who have General Skywalker, and all of them are, relatively well modded. Like they're all Relic 7. All their teams are pretty comparably geared. And so I thought that I would just be able to walk in here and hopefully just be able to take out the 4 supporting characters to General Skywalker here. Immediately, though, I lost my Darth Revan, which is a pretty big deal. You need him to be able to put lightning on everyone, so then you can fry them with Bastila's lightning. So immediately, that's a pretty big hit. But I did manage to get a topple on Skywalker here, and that's good. The supporting cast, you need to take 5s out first. That's pretty established. You have to take him out first, or everything else kind of just goes downhill really fast. And you can see Skywalker already almost has max protection. Like they didn't have a huge amount of overt speed here, but it was apparently enough that they got a ton of turns, and immediately he stood up without me killing anyone, and my whole team was just totally wiped out without killing a single clone. So that was pretty frustrating and a little bit tilting. It's tough. I mean, if I could have taken at least one of those clones out, if I could have taken 5s out, that would have been a huge help, but negative.
Gave up on life, didn't you?
The next squad I had available to counter him was Padme, and again, my Padme squad is always good for being able to take out at least, all of the support characters, so I figured they would be good as a second kind of a backup plan to be able to clean them up. And even though at this point I figured, well, I'll have to use Commander Luke as well to be able to clear these guys, at least I will get the clear. And so we're jumping right in, and they left there picking up right where they started. They're doing a bunch of damage, but you can see here that my team's a lot more resilient. Like they just are. They're living a lot longer, and that's the nature of the Padme squad. They survive a lot, and there's a lot of attacks that these various clones are doing that are out of activation, and so that's adding to my protection up piles and everything. One thing I will note is that I decided not to take C-3PO here because I wanted him with my Commander Luke squad to be able to help finish General Skywalker off once I inevitably was able to destroy all of these clones in the back zone. So that was kind of my goal here, and so far so good. Like no one's really dying. Barriss died, but no one really cares. Like she's not as important as the rest of these guys, and that was kind of to be expected. And so I did finish off 5s, and then Skywalker stood up again, and immediately General Kenobi died, and I did my AoE there with Anakin for some reason. Really not sure why. Probably should have just done a normal attack, but anyways, they were able to get Rex's mini annihilate off and destroy Shaak Ti, and I was like, okay, well, at least hopefully I can take out Rex or Echo now. I'll be good to go. Like, hopefully I'll just be able to finish off the rest of these clones. But then Echo decided to throw his grenade and kill me. So, my 2 best teams available and 1 clone down. At this point, I had figured that I had probably lost the match already, but decided that I would continue on and at least take out this General Skywalker squad. So I took this Commander Luke team, and I think normally I would want to take R2 here, but instead I decided to take Captain Han. I was probably a little tilted, wasn't thinking too straight, which is, understandable. Honestly, I don't feel like I can blame myself that much for that. Like, not my favorite thing. I'd rather always be pretty clear-headed, but after losing 2 of my teams in exchange for 1 clone, it's pretty understandable in my opinion to to feel that way. So you can see that I did get the topple once again, and I finished off Rex pretty quick, and everything's looking a little better. Chewbacca, unfortunately, is dazed, and so there's issues with that, but we can handle that, I suppose. I decided here, I was trying to figure out if I wanted to heal Han or do something. I decided against it, apparently. So General Skywalker is here. He's alone, and I'm like, oh great, now I can finally finish him off. Like I was feeling pretty good about it. I was getting a few turns. Unfortunately, Chewbacca doesn't get any assists here, and so I'm doing some damage, and he just destroyed me. Like, not even close. So I had wasted 3 meta teams, 3 of my very strongest teams on this one squad, and I hadn't even killed the main character. Like, I'd lost 15 good characters, killed 4 in exchange, and the best one was still remaining and blocking my path. So I decided I'd focus on this other zone in the off chance that my opponent, failed to the point that I couldn't... he wouldn't be able to full clear me. I figured at least I could take out ships and, make it a close match if he wasn't able to full clear me back. So I'm speeding this up a little bit because the match does go pretty long, but this Grievous team was pretty scary. I had a lot of relics on it. I had Watt in it, which Watt is always problematic to be able to counter with. And I've never actually tried Watt with Bastila, like trying to counter Watt with Bastila, so I just mostly did the same things that I normally do. We're trying to take out Watt as quick as we can so that he doesn't revive B2 after our initial hit, but otherwise I'm being forced to hit Magna Guard because he's got that taunt, and I'm just waiting. I'm trying to take his protection down a little bit so then he won't be able to taunt anymore. At least he doesn't have the forced taunt from Watt. Unfortunately, he just has his natural taunt up now, which I could dispel, I guess, if I had the means to do that. So anyways, I ended up killing Magna Guard there pretty good. And Revan, of course, got taken out by the AoE because it's Relic 7, or Relic 6, General Grievous. But now I have a clear path to be able to hit Wat, and he, for whatever reason, has not revived at all. So, you know, good to go there. Taking him out, and now all that's left is the pretty strong B1 and Grievous, who has the ability that gives him all this extra protection. And it turned out to be a really frustrating setup for me to be able to counter. So we're really going to speed things up. So I'm just trying to take him out. I really don't want to give him extra turns, but I don't want B1 there just hanging out, healing Grievous, doing all. And so I'm hitting him as much as I can, and you can see General Grievous's life bar is just barely going down. He keeps healing, and there's like nothing I can do to stop that. Like every time I take a turn, he's healing, and so, you know, you get mark on him, and I am doing some damage. Like I'm actually making some inroads to being able to hurt him here. And slowly but surely, I'm going to need to take out B1 here just because I need to do AoEs. And so I just decided, you know, I would just take out B1 the next time I had an AoE available. So Grievous is starting to ramp up his power because every time he takes a turn, he gets extra health, and the health is a direct reflection of his damage. And so you can see that in the time that it took to revive him, he'd already regrown all of his health and protection. And he's stunned here, and he's not dispelling it, and that's great. And so I'm just doing as much damage as I can, but he's healing, and you know, I'm just trying to button the can. And there was some lag there, which was really frustrating. And hitting him, almost got him. 20 seconds left, but he's almost gone, right? So, you know, we got this. And 10 seconds left, almost got it. And 5 seconds left, big hit from Yoda, didn't do it, and I didn't manage to finish him off. So it's like, are you kidding me? He's like so close to dead, but he did get a hold. Frustrating, but an impressive team. Of course, this failed attack means that I had used my 4 best teams and killed 0 of my opponent's teams, which I don't think has ever happened in any game mode at any point, other than trying to unlock something. So, really awesome. Alright, so we've established my level of fail, and it's not all the way over yet, but I'll give you guys a brief respite here. So a really great team to be able to counter General Grievous is, you know, like a lone General Grievous, is Ewoks. And that's just because you get a ton of turns. You know, he almost killed Logray on his first shot, but he didn't, obviously. And I'm not really trying to hold out and win a bunch of banners or anything right now. I'm just trying to just finish this match. I just needed to get a win. So 38 banners, that's fine. Took him out, and I didn't need to use another meta team to be finished. Thank goodness. So now we have 2 other teams in this zone that are very beatable. First is this Bounty Hunter team, which had a really fast boss. Unfortunately for Bosk, he was just not fast enough. My Stark outsped him by a little bit. So, you know, it's pretty standard here to be able to take Bosk out, this Bosk team out first if you have the right mods, and I did. So you take out Boba first because he has the lowest overall health. After you take Boba out twice, you have so much turn meter available that all your troopers are able to just go whenever. So you put Deathmark on Bosk, take him out really fast, and then it's just a landslide. I mean, that's one of the easiest matchups in the game, and that was actually turned out to be kind of a mistake on my end, as you guys will see a little bit later. But we don't need to belabor that for now. You know, I was on tilt, I wasn't thinking that straight, and so I just wanted to get to the next zone and be able to beat his ships, and then hopefully turn around and be able to tackle the Skywalker zone. So we have here the Old Republic with a Wampa, and that's actually a fairly interesting match just because the Wampa can do so much damage to so many teams. Unfortunately for this team, if you take Juhani out, which I don't really like her anyways, but if you do take her out, then you don't have any kind of cleanse on the Old Republic team, and so that leaves Wampa here vulnerable. He can be hit by all kinds of debuffs, and he just has to wait for them to wear off. And in this case, Kylo Ren unmasked, unleashed as well. I'm unleashing him, but he can do his 2-turn stun, and the Wampa just has to sit through that, and he doesn't have a really high speed or anything, and so everyone's getting a ton of turns because they're both turn meter train teams to some extent, and Wampa doesn't really have any part of that. So I'm just trying to juggle here. You can see how I'm switching target to target. And the main consideration here is you look at their protection bars above their heads or above their health. And the second I take someone below their protection and into their health, that means that Zalbar taunts. And so I'm trying to avoid him taunting. I'm trying to just spread some damage around, trying to get some stuns out, and avoid his taunt just because I want to be able to, I'm trying to get max banners here. It's just a good principle. Even though I was on tilt, like not all of my sense had entirely fled, I still wanted to get the max win if possible. I recognized that I needed that, especially now because I had failed so many times. If it came down to it, I needed to have a few extra banners. So one great thing about First Order here is they have so many ways to dispel, and that includes First Order Stormtrooper. I know that a lot of people don't want to gear First Order Stormtrooper because he takes up a lot of gear, and he doesn't seem like he's that great. He just seems like he stands there as a tank, but the fact is he does so much more than just that. He does taunt. That's great. He also dispels, and he counters. So sometimes if someone hits him and he's taunting, he can shoot back and dispel whatever buffs are on them. And that's actually the case a lot of times against Old Republic. You see First Order Stormtrooper get hit by Zalbar because First Order Stormtrooper is taunting. Zalbar is taunting as well, and the shot back from Stormtrooper actually dispels Zalbar's taunt, so you don't even have to, hit him anymore. Anyways, you can see my health and protection pools have been regenerated. I was using my First Order officer to feed buffs and therefore healing to First Order Stormtrooper, and that was basically it. I mean, the only person who really took damage was Stormtrooper throughout this match, and he was able to regenerate it, so another 60 banners. Great. Back to my hopefully winning ways, though it's hard to ignore the fact that Skywalker is still there, and another team, a really strong Newt team, is also there. So, of course, my opponent put a negotiator in the back, and a fast negotiator. I haven't had any problems with negotiators so far, and that I decided that I'd take my own negotiator because that's really my only counter right now for them. I should probably pick up the Falcon Akbar counter as well, but I haven't done that yet. So my 5-star negotiator just jumped right in, and I think my start went pretty well here. I'll show you guys what I did, of course, because this is a video and I'm showing you guys what I did, so obvious. But you want to hit Anakin first, with a basic from Anakin and then a big hit from Ahsoka. And what that does is you see his health and protection are way down, and that tricks the AI to put the buff on him instead of Negotiator going and dazing my whole squad or fleet or whatever you want to call it, flotilla. Instead, they used a buff, and they let me put daze on everyone and turn meters on everyone. So 5s went in, was able to get a big hit, and things were looking pretty good. This is a pretty standard way of doing things, and this is pretty indicative of how my matches have gone up to this point. So Clone Sergeant came in with his taunt, and I decided I wanted to try focusing this Houndstooth down because he had buff block right now, buff immunity, And so I did a hit on Clone Sergeant there so that I wouldn't dispel Houndstooth's taunt and be able to hit, so that I'd be forced to hit Clone Sergeant. But that may have been a mistake, because after that, Houndstooth went anyways and got rid of his buff anyways. And then Clone Sergeant looked up and he's like, oh, I can just take a shot at Skywalker and just take him out. And he did. And that was a really huge blow to me, because I hadn't taken out my opponent, Skywalker. And at this point, the Clone Sergeant ship has full protection still. I really wanted to be able to at least take out Anakin. If I could take out Skywalker's ship, then I would probably be able to at least whittle this fleet down with my remaining ships. So working towards that. But you see the Houndstooth got his taunt back up again, so we're doing well. Gave that this is not an ideal situation. Like, I don't have my best ship, my best offensive weapon, and really almost my only offensive weapon other than Ahsoka. Fives does okay, but he's not quite on that level yet. So we got Clone Sergeant down to no protection, and after my big barrage there, I apparently did like no damage at all. So it's things are going poorly. Fives is about to die, and the Y-Wings came in and did their bombing run. So my hope here completely evaporated after Ahsoka bit the dust. I decided I'd just take a pot shot and see if the Y-Wings would be able to finish Anakin off. If he could take a turn and those torpedoes or whatever the bombs are, the debuffs on Anakin are, could destroy him, then great. But he still had a little sliver of life left after that, and my hope was completely gone. Everyone now had that buff again to be able to prevent them from dying, and I bet Anakin wished he could put that buff on Padme, actually, in episode 3. That would have solved a lot of things, but he didn't, and I was pretty sad here. So my first loss to a faster negotiator, and I need to get better, apparently. So I decided to forfeit. So I was fairly tempted at this point just to call it quits, and I did for a long time. I went to bed, and after the whole day of just kind of feeling despondent and like I had just completely gotten destroyed, I decided that I wanted one more crack at General Skywalker. I did still have Traya if I needed her, but I wanted to try Rogue One. It occurred to me that I thought maybe Rogue One would actually be able to do some damage against Skywalker. So, I took this team. I have my freshly Gear 12 Xaereth Pathfinder, so I wanted to see what he could do instead of K2, because he's only Gear 11. And the goal here, it was just to try to get a lot of exposes on Anakin, basically, and I'd be able to revive using Jin, so and be able to hopefully do some good work on his turn meter as well. So you can see here that Skywalker is just hanging out with a ton of debuffs and killed Rebel Pathfinder, but he had a ton of exposes on him, and so Cassian was just able to wipe him out and called that a win. Like, Rogue One, who knew? Like, the vanquishers of General Skywalker, only to be killed later by Skywalker himself as Darth Vader. So you have that lore when you try to work it in with this game, just doesn't make any sense. So speaking of not making sense, we have I had my Traya team left, and I was like, man, I actually have a chance. Like, I have half an hour left, so I have enough time to attack. If my opponent put completely fluff cake squads in the back, like, I could actually win, because he failed against my Geonosians. Like, he didn't full clear me. If I full clear his squad zone, both of them, I could actually win. So I jumped in here with an undersized squad. I decided not to take Thrawn, because I thought Thrawn might be instrumental in being able to use other teams to be able to potentially counter whatever was in the back. Hopefully he just put like Phoenix and Rogue One or something in the back, just because he trusted his Skywalker team. And so So back to this match, that this is a pretty tough team because it has Nest and it has a bunch of Separatists. And Newt was fast, the Dooku was fast, everyone was really strong. My opponent's setup was actually really impressive. I don't think it was indicative of someone with the number of losses that they'd probably had, though maybe I'm a little biased just because their Skywalker just destroyed me so much, just completely annihilated my roster. So I don't really care that Sith Trooper here is dead. I just wanted to survive long enough to annihilate some people, so I took out Newt first because Newt is the one that's making this whole team tick. Like, all the extortion, all this everything, and he takes 2 kills to be able to kill him normally, so annihilate on him actually made a lot of sense. Especially because he stealths right after you kill him the first time. And, Nest, I think, is the choice that a lot of people make in that situation. And the fact is, Nest is kind of controlled. I mean, she's doing damage, yes. She is a strong character, but she is isolated. And because she's isolated, she can't counter, and her number of turns are kind of limited because she's not super fast. And so, I decided to just take what came from Nest and, just kind of ride it out. And so here, I was able to take out Jango, of course. Then immediately thereafter, my Traya got taken out. And so we're dispelling against Droideka. It was it's a fairly resilient Droideka, even at gear 12. And Scion can hit, okay. Nihilus can't hit at all unless he's annihilating. But, one way or another, I figured we'd probably be able to take out this Droideka, okay. And, so we did manage it. I didn't even have to annihilate him. 53 banners, doesn't matter. Like, the whole goal here is just to be able to clear my opponent's back zone here. And so Geonosians and Night Sisters is not what I had in mind. So basically game over. This was the end. You can see my screenshot, 21 minutes left, but I did not attempt any further attacks. I had nothing left in the tank to be able to beat Night Sisters or Geonosians. So you can see my defenses here. My Night Sisters and Newt squad, I had moved the Newt squad and swapped it with Grievous. They got 1 shot. My entire top periphery zone, whatever you want to call it, got 1 shot as well. And then, interestingly enough, I had tried my General Skywalker team on defense just to see how they would do. Got 1 shot. But then Geonosians held 6 times, so go figure. And then, of course, the Akbar fleet lost. So wonderful. Glad to see that. And total loss. Unfortunate, but it's just how it goes sometimes.
What happened out there?
Well, it was a team effort, and I guess it took every player working together to lose this one.
Thanks, Doug. And so...
Hey, want to do an interview with me?
No.
All right, so a couple things we can take away from this loss. First off, General Skywalker is a really strong character, and I absolutely 100% need to have a viable counter for him. And whereas it may work to be able to 1- or 2-shot him sometimes, I need to make sure that the teams I have are actually able to do that. My opponent's Skywalker team was stronger than anything that I had faced thus far, and maybe I had bad RNG, I don't really know. He's still a new enough character that maybe I got unlucky, or maybe I just totally failed here. And, one way or another, that's a frustrating result, of course, but I need to, moving forward, have some kind of an answer for that. Initially, I'm not going to be able to have one for the next set of matches. That's just not possible. The way the amount of gear I have and the amount of money that I have available to spend on this game right now. So I am not going to be able to have that ready yet, but hopefully I will be able to have a team that's practiced enough and relic enough to be able to take out all of the clones guaranteed in the first shot, and then be able to clean him up with something. Hopefully, maybe Rogue One will just start being my de facto cleanup squad for him. So there's absolutely that. Other repercussions and consequences of this loss, of course, mean I'm not going to be able to hit the top 50 goal that I had. Now my goal is going to shift to, I don't know, top 200, something like that. So, still trying to maximize things. Getting into Kyber shouldn't be that much of an issue. I say that, knock on wood, but they've reduced the difficulty to get into Kyber by an order of magnitude, and so I think even with my five wins, I mean, I only need to win another 3 or so of my next 6. So if I can hit 500, then wonderful. But I'm not going to be able to get top 50. That's just not in the cards anymore. But anyways, disappointing loss, of course. Thank you guys for watching my failure. I hope you didn't laugh too hard. And if you did, I hope you were super grossed out by all the vomit scenes that I showed you. So had it coming to you. Anyways, guys, thank you so much for watching. And remember that in all things, Xaereth prevails, even when he melts the F down.